Hey, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. So in this video, I am going to continue working on React app and user sign-in. So in this case, we make an authorization request. The first thing we need to log in from the email and the password, and that user did sign up in this register form. So get back to sign in. So the first thing we need to do is go back to API and create a new router. So check in router.js. So this is the method, this is the API endpoint. We just create a new user. So in this case, login user. So we can do login. We need to use a post method as well. So we have an API /user and login. To login, we have a parameter to 3 params. It's a request and response the same as so the next an arrow Ep16 function. So so here do course. Alright, body. Okay, can do alright, got body equal. I'm using load function request plus body. So we can basically in this case, so I want to return the same thing as the user. So alright, team empty. Right, by default give it is empty object. So we can do that by return red.stars 200 and rotation will return a body, right? So now I'm going to make a test. So before that, we need to wait for a user restart. Okay, so here we go. Let's copy that and go to portman. This is a port request. So we have a HTTP localhost. All right, 3000 port. Sorry, to remove that slash and body should be in binary draw and select JSON. So in this case, JSON, for example, email, the login with user email, for example, test to @gmail.com, and the password should be 1, 2, 3, and 4. So now I'm going to hit submit. We should return the same as the object we did submit. So you can see that, right? You see in the response callback, it's same as. Let me change password for 2, 5, and 4 and 5, and you should see the passwords here same. Yeah, right. So let's verify that. So we see the API endpoint for login is working as well. So here we know we do need to log in back to, and you can see in our collection of users, so we have a 4. All right, and test. And in this case, I will delete all of things to keep number 4. So in here we have a territory and password. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is in our user class. Now I am going to make a new function. Alright, so before that I will need to set up it in constructor as a login equals this dot login dot by this. So now we need to create a new function. Alright, it's a login. So okay, so login, I'm going to give it new email, password, two parameter, and should be callback function. By default it should be an empty function. So now what I can do by return callback but arrow so last arrow call new and callback arrow. I can do return callback arrow and user. So we can do by let user equal new add bar. So in this case, I'm going to make a tag. For example, user returns return user. So example, so name. Alright, a email something test at gmail.com. Okay, so now we need to make call the login in our router. So we can do like this, and the body, and so we can do right. Okay, so we do course user equal new user, and we did import the user class at the top this router.js, so we can use this. Right, so now we can use it, and the app should be part to the initial line because we in contractor we have an app required. So okay, so here we go. So we have a user, and now we can do user.login. Login with login function, we do have the first thing equal email, the password, and the callback function. So with email, should can do by course email equal get body email. Right. Course password equal get body password. So right, so we do email password and callback function. We have a two parameter, it's arrow and user. Alright, so we can do this by return. Okay, so we can keep return for as moment, but we can show.log. Right, after login, we got callback e. Alright, an arrow and user. So okay. So now let me hit submit. Okay, so before to make sure that we alright console log. I also console log console.log. Make sure it's right email password. So we need to verify the login function is working. So one more time, okay. So first thing we need to check server restart. Okay, hit submit again. Now you should see callback. This function is working, and now we can check console when we can do email the test password. Okay, so this function already called, and after login we got callback, an error, and user callback. Okay, so cool. Right, so inside the login, we need to do connect to the database and get the user with the email. Okay, so basically you can do it by. Alright, we have a use function user find user by email, right? Okay, so that we can use it by, in this case, login will this dot find user by email. So email, so let's pass email here, email, and callback should be an arrow user. Alright, so simply we can do this by if not email or not password, we can do return callback arrow. Arrow now should be matrix. Arrow matrix should be callback and arrow should be like this. Now we can do this. Arrow, first arrow here. Arrow equal matrix. So email or password is required. Okay, so we call back arrow and user null. Cool. And otherwise, we call to the file user by email we did create before. File user by email. Okay, so cool. And here we go. Return callback and arrow. So I think we need to arrow should be arrow here, and so arrow yeah, and so if arrow, this arrow we check arrow, so arrow matrix and arrow right file right login your account. So we do very basic matrix. Okay, and return callback arrow new. So it's basically we can do we need to do that. And if arrow or not user, that means the user is a not file and we don't find match any user with email address from user send, so we can do that. And or we check with it by default. We do if error or error here, if error equal null and user. So we do this return callback new. Okay, so in otherwise we return callback and new an error, no error, and user object. So one more thing we need to do is we need to compare the password from user input and on our database password. So how to do that? And remember, we are using third-party encrypt passwords. So in that right in our package, we should see that see body BC script. So let's get back to BC script, and we need to check about the document, right? So one more time, we should be compare, right? Compare. Right, should be like this. We answer thing and hash string. And when we compare thing and hash. Okay, so let's copy that. So we can do this by cross password check. Right, you got it. So in some other plain text password, it is the user password. Right, user password and hash just mean equal user dot password and the user dot password equal from our database. So when to do that, I want to console dot log and user dot password. password equal. So I want to make a log to console. You can see that, and password check. Okay, here we go. So now we need to make a request. Alright, tat2@gmail.com, and in our database is a tat3, just once, and now we submit to see how it's reviewed. Okay, so in our console, alright, matches error your login account, and after login. Alright, because with this not doesn't match any email in our database, so get back to router. So we can do console.log. So basically you can do res.json red which should be 200 and json. Json login success. That is a temporary return equal if error, and we return fail. Otherwise, login fail and true. Otherwise, okay, login successful for 4 and 2. Right. If we check error, that's login 4 and otherwise 2. Okay. So stay with that and we wait for the backend restart. Okay, here we go. Let's make another test. Now you should see login success is 4. And if I change email address to tat3, and now you should see an user callback. So now to see what happened. Alright, login success 2, and the password, even the password equal doesn't match. The password before that we saved equal 1 2 3 4, but in this case we send 1 2 3 and 5, 1 2 3 4 and 5, but return success true, and that means check console log. After login we got callback is an error null and user ID, and this is user ID and the name, territory, and email password. So now you should see email hash password. We log hash password, and this is a database password, user password from database. So get back to user class, we should see console log hash password, and now we can check this password check with console.log. Password check. Now passwords the match should be 2 or 4. So one more time, let's wait for server restart. Okay, so one more time we hit that, and we should see in our console passwords match 4 in this case, because in our database password should be encrypt from 1 2 3 and 4. Now he's again send, so you should see passwords match match 2. Okay, so in that means we need to do this. Alright, user if password check. So if password check and return this. Alright, otherwise we return, I can do else. Now error equal new matrix part was the not match. Alright, so basically we can return this, and user know the password does not match. But in real production, I don't want to recommend to use this because the passwords do not match. That means the email equal match. So that means some one other can debug our application. I don't recommend to do this, but so for now, let's make this. Okay, so we'll do return callback, error, and new. Okay, so what cool. So let me remove the log. One more time, we wait for server restart and hit login success true. Okay, so if I change the password to 135, now I should see login success 4. Okay, so here we go. So what we do then after user login successful. Right, my idea is to create a new token and save in our database and check. We can and later we can check this. Okay, so here I will do what I'm going to in our database. We need to create a new collection of tokens. Okay, so file now we can do login callback. So in this case, now we can do if password check equal correct. So we need to create a new token and return this token key for user, and user is used for later request. Right? Do. So in our application token, I'm going to create a new file equal out.js. So we can do edge parse class out, right? Basic constructor says simply we can do it.app equal app. So inside this app token, I will do create more function. This dot create token equal right token. This dot create token by this. Right. Create token, and so this, I'm sorry, let's copy that. Okay, so create token. So create new token. Create token with what param? So my idea is to send a user. It's so user the user object. So token and is a callback and CB. Right, CB should be an empty function. This callback should be an error and or token. So we can do right cool. So basically we can do cards db equal this.app.db. Okay, this is application we pass from outside to initialize of this class. So create a new token you can do by basically we can do right this user, and the next param we can do h price. Right, so this is a date time when token expire. So wow, db.collection.insert1. So insert one token object, and then arrow and token. So token object. What about token object? Or initialize token object. This model. The token model should be like this. The token model should have alright. ID should be new. Okay, so we don't need ID anymore. Right, token dot. Okay, so token should be x price. Or by default is new. And the next thing we need to do is user ID, and it should be new. It should user ID does mean this token we can know in the next request about no this token should belong to which user. Okay, so user ID should from this. For example, after login we have a callback on this ID. Right, so do that. Alright, user ID is private. Okay, so let's put thing in what else. I think this is enough. So we can do this user. So this dot model dot user ID equal user dot ID and this dot model. Or so first basic we can do let model equal this dot model, and now we can make it model dot user and model dot price equal. So if it price or by default we take it price default. Okay, so cool. User ID. Alright, I think it's enough. And token object should be model. Alright. And now should return CB, alright, CBR and model. Cool. So alright, collection I'm missing token. Right, token insert mode. Cool, so let's verify it one more time after 12 it just show window. So when we use all class, so in our user we need to import that, import all from its same directory, so window by all. Cool, so here we do that by cause all go new all our class app. Right, in app we make sure should be this dot app, so I can do cause app equals this dot app. So now we should have an app right here, and dot create token. Right, so we call this function create token. The first param is the user. The user exactly the user we call back here. So get back the user and its price. So its price it can be in 1 hour. So we do this cost 1 hour equal. So alright, so something like that. And each price should be new date, time, and plus we can do. So in this video, I'm not going to use each price, so we can keep it a null. The next video we need to implement the each price time. So okay, keep it easy first, and work first. And the three param is a callback. The callback function should be return. Let's check out create token with return two parameters. So in user we can return or use error or token. Okay, so we can do like this: console.log, right, token created with error and token. So one more time. Okay, so first thing we need to wait for server restart, and now we test 1 2 3 4 and 5. This should be not create token anymore because the login equal 4. So right, so now if I change the password to 1 2 3 and 4, it should be okay. So what happened? All default. Okay, so I just export default, right? Okay, so let's see, submit again. It price is not defined. Okay, so it price, so in our user token it price. All right, so here we go, pass the param null. Okay, so while server should be restart. Okay, so we see login success true, and that means now should be token, a new token should be created. So now you should see method token created with the error equal null and return callback with user ID and expire null, because we are not going to implement expire time of token in this case, and slash the underscore ID, it does mean token ID. Now in the next step we need to use this token key and to validate that means user is login or not login. Okay, so let's check our database, and collection should be 4, and the token should have this. Now you should see key, a token key is ID and user, and this token belong to a user. Okay, so cool. So we need to return this to when the user login. So it should be return a user with token key with user. And so here we go. If password check, we remove this callback anymore. So return user new. Alright, we can do the check if error. We can do return callback. So right, so error. Matrix an error login your account. Right, if return error new. Okay, error. The error it is actually we vary for underbar and should be in all the way. So all the way we return all right, I can do this token dot user equal exactly user we get back. So let me show you, and now we don't, now we return token here. Cool. Okay, so let's see. Oh, in our router, so now in login password should be return token, and now you should see we need to check. Alright, if error we return res.stars and login unauthorized code and JSON methods should be an error login your account. Right, and please try again, or something like that. Cool. And so otherwise we can return res.this stars 200 successful course and JSON token. Right there. So here we see token now one object, and now you should see. Alright, if I submit one again, okay, let me add an unvalidated password, so should see what happened. Now you should see a message login error when you start code and authorize. Cool. And so one again change back to the successful password. Now you should see here. Now you should see that user ID and expire null. That means we don't implement expire time dash. And ID is the ID of your token, and user. Right, password here. Well, so I think we don't show up the passwords in our let's see, in our user callback. Token is created and remove that token.user. So basically you can do like let's user dot token. We do sorry, password. We don't show the password in the response. So one more time we need to wait for this. Okay, restart. And now hit send again. And no more password field here. Cool. Okay. So we have a token. Here's a token ID. And so how we can use this token? Okay, so let's get back to our application. Now if what happened, we should implement email and password here. So let's get back to our React application, and in component login. Now you should see an on submit right below, on submit required. So if it's a login, we do. Now we send login to endpoint. So wow, we have a helper in user. So now I want to create a login function. So a post course function. All right, login should be all right. So login should be email, password. By default should be new. No. Okay. All right, login. Arrow function. Okay, it's called URL. So let me copy this. So the API should be now, should be user and login. So should be login, and the port should be now an object. All right, can do that. Email, passwords. Okay, so return as your. Now we do have a login. So in our login component, so let's import login. So we user in our on submit. Now we should do that by login. Email, the first parameter is equal email. So email, we can do this dot state dot user dot email, this dot state dot user dot password. Right. Dot then and response. And when we see the response, that means it login successful. And cat error. Right, this means login not success. Right, so we console.log error here. Okay, so when we do have a login success, so basically I want to show up to user login successful. So in our state we can do by matrix equal type new. So basically I think we can do return and new, message new. And when we show message new, so in our form, login form, so we have a button form, and so here we go. If matrix, so we have a variable matrix. If matrix, so we do div last name equal up matrix. right? Div. Right, inside matrix, so I think we can do this. P, right? So class name should be exactly, all right. All right, matrix dot type. Matrix dot type. So class name should be an arrow or success. And here is the matrix dot matrix. Matrix dot text. Or it's matrix dot matrix. Right. So cool. So let's get back to our login. So when login is successful, we can do this set state. We can save a user information of the token, but for now I just want to show this to make sure it works. Set state matrix should be an object, right? Type equal success, and matrix should be login successful. Okay, and otherwise we can do this. This says should be an error, and the matrix login unsuccessful. Okay, or even we can do an error login. So okay, so I think it should work. P, all right. So if matrix and otherwise I return none. Let's close this up. Okay, one more time. Make a test. Alright, so let me enter an unvalidated email. So test4@gmail.com, password 1, 2, 3, and 4, and we should see an arrow login. Cool. So let's see. Should P class an arrow. Cool. Now we can do style a bit matrix by in our app. So before start, so open new tab in my terminal, cd to app, right, cd to add c dash, now sac squat app.add c dash. Cool, so it's list watches app.c dash. So now in our app.c dash we can do this by sorry, I'm open app.add c dash. Now let's copy matrix should be, alright, padding, alright, for example 10 pixel. So you should see padding 2 pixel, and so I think padding should be under P. Okay, and border 1 pixel. So let's, and for example, alright, primary color. So by default, and you should see a border color, and border radius should be 5 pixel. Okay, so it should see like that, and we add margin bottom, margin 10 pixel, margin top and right, top and bottom, and right and left equal 0. So top and right, cool. So let me check if arrow. So now you should see P tag arrow. We can do border color. Should be alright. Danger color. Danger color is exactly what we did variable in variable at seed, and I should see that should danger color. Okay, so in this case it should be in border color, right? That's cool. And okay, so what else? So we need to in this case and user the passwords is a 1 2 3 and 4 and email should be tab3. Now let's get back to our application and change tab3 and the password is 1 2 3 and 4. Hit sign up. Now you should see the message login successful. And let's check about network. We should see latest request and respond with alright, respond should be JSON. Should be see in JSON format. User apply and now so good. And so one more time I change it. P and color is a success private color and color should be danger color. Cool. So in this case now you should see color much better. Cool. And okay, so we can see in our callback in this we do have a user ID and user object. So now you should see this is a token ID. And so now we are using this token and make a request. So the first thing we need to get back to our API. Login, we close that. And in our router now I'm going to make another app, for example app.get. Now it should see get my profile detail. Okay, so we can basically we should see API user and me. So guess me, that means we guess only. So only my profile. Okay, so we can do our contact. Oh, exactly. All sample we can do ID and request, respond, and next. Same thing above. So in the basic, I want to give a return JSON. Alright, so user ID should be the cost user ID equal using loadout function request param.id. By default, give it null. User ID. Cool. So now it's a get function. So we can open that in our browser localhost 3000 user API user and so it's for example ABC. Now we don't see anything. Alright, so now you should see in user API in our profile detail it should be user ID and ABC. ABC is the param we pass in the past. So for example now we can copy the user ID from here. So in user, so we can copy that. Copy this. Copy the value. Now it is exactly what about user ID. So return object, remove its object ID. So now you should see in callback equal user ID. Cool. Now what I can do equal code user equal new user app, right? So we are going to user call to new object in user, and here I will this dot find by ID equal this dot find by ID dot by this. So we need to define this function file by id with the id and should be callback and callback. So by default give it is empty. Alright, so id, so we cause db equal this dot app dot db. So db dot collection user and dot files. So file query, so we can do alright file, and we can do by query cost query equal, so id equal, so new object id, object id. So wow, I do think so. Get back to our router, we need to make sure we have an object id. We copy that, import object id, and so in our class user class we need to import that as well. New object id, choose new object id from id, and id we pass from a parent. Cool. For by default rule and query dot limits 1 dot to array arrow and results. Alright, so we check if arrow equal new, and so basically we do this called user equal user load that function, but results should be the first item of the array. Alright, so if arrow and user, we return callback, an arrow equal null, and object user is a user here, and otherwise return alright callback an arrow. Alright, user, or you can do arrow, so cost arrow equal matrix user not file. Okay, so arrow callback arrow and null user null. Cool, so we have it done right, a file by id in user. So in our router we can go ahead use that. Alright, in our router now we should see card user. Basically you can do that file by id, and here is id user id, and it call back an arrow and user. So user like object, change it. So we check here if arrow, and that means we return red dot, or simply we do this. If arrow return red dot stars is not file, and that means return for authorization and matrix user not file. Cool. And otherwise, so we need to remove this. Return red dot stars 200, and the return should be user, or it should be object. Cool. Okay, so I think it should work, and let's make sure the user the API calls. Okay, so my message when calls. Cool. And second, restart. Okay, cool. So here in our browser, now refresh this, we should see a user object. Now here we go. We return in user password. Okay, so one more time we need to remove this. So in file by ID, router, user. Okay, file by ID if user. So we check delete user dot password. Cool. So use restart. Okay, so one more time we refresh the browser. Now no more password field here. Cool. So let me add some wrong ID user. Now you should see okay, change it to 8. Now you should see the matrix user not found. And get back to user ID. Now you should see. Alright, cool. So now here you can see we accept our user and ID without any authorization. So that means let me copy this URL and go into enforcement, and we can return at get. Now you should see and callback in the user object. And so it's my idea how we do. So in our React app, so in login successful, we did return a token with the user ID. So that means we need to make an authorization in header authorization, and this we require user to user authorization to accept this. So how we do that? Okay, so let me show you. That is very easy. I'll get back to our router. So we have a request, and here is basically I want to add the authorization in this. So okay, so we can do cost in our authenticate outlet. I want to make this check out request. All right, request we will and callback. By default should be an empty function. So check out. So the first thing we need to do is return sample. All right, cost is a log equal true, and that means user and return callback is a log. Alright, so that means callback is a log. That means the user is already logged in. So in our router, so before it, we need to check this. Alright, cost out equal new out. So to use that without import, you should get an error. So let me show you an error here. So you should see an error here. New out. Wow. Okay, so now we should see request. After request, you should see an error, right? An error because it's all not found, undefined. All right, where is the message? Okay, here AR is not defined, so we need to import our from in our router. Okay, here's my son. All right, he's looking for me. Okay, so get back to our app. Okay, so all imports from user. Where is all? Okay, here we go. It should be in API database. Oh, that I see. And okay, all. So all. Okay, so in our model. So I think our file should be in outside of model, but okay, so leave it there. So in our router, so import model Oh, cool. So now we can use it. Where it does? Okay, here. New out and out dot check check login. All right, check out. How to check out? The first parameter equal required. All right, in required is our required here, and callback should be either out or either login, either log in. Right. So here we can do this. If if not is the login, we can do return res dot start. Right, this is a code for Mattis. Alright, and authorize. Right, cool. So with all the while we can do, let's do that. Cool. Cool. Okay. So one more time we to test and hit save. And so what's about we can able check return get to return object, because by default in our out class we return out equal true, but now what happened if I change to 4? So should wait for the server restart. Now one more time we hit, you should see a message and an authorized code, and that's mean. And also here in our browser, now if I refresh my browser, okay, so should see a message. Okay, so now we need to, in our router, we need to check is the login, and the first thing we need to do equal. So here with user token, this is the token key, and that means the token ID in our token. Now let me. Okay, so this in our token, refresh token should be have it that. So each token we have a user ID object. Cool. So let me create a new method to verify token. So we'll check out course token key equal required.get. Alright, authorization. Now we console log token key e token. Okay, so we can do that by token. Cool. So one more time refresh, and here we pass authorization here, and you should see token key is right exactly what we passed from header. Cool. So we get token. Now we can do this by if not token. Alright, we can do return. Alright, callback for, and that means an authorized. And all the while we need to do this. Okay, so cost db equals this.app.db, and so db.collection, right, token, right, is it exactly collection token we need to find by ID, right, dot find query dot limited one, just one, and two array arrow, alright, arrow and token object. Cool. And should be an arrow function. So we query cost query equal, so ID should be exactly token, but should be in object ID. token new object ID, and we have to import object ID from MongoDB. So let's copy that for real quick. So in our class should be import from top of class. Alright, so we can do console log. First thing I need to show you, finding token object from db callback e. So we have an arrow and token object. Cool. Okay, cool. Let's wait for server restart. Okay, it's done. Here we go. We send one more time. Now you should see finding token object from db callback is noon, an arrow in noon, no arrow, and should be an object here with token ID, should matches from header. Cool. And so we know which user. Here is the user ID. Cool. So now we can do this. Call token. Alright, token. Alright, can we do this? Token object. Cool. So an array. So we call token equal to loadout function. Alright, so use loadout function. We need to import it first from loadout. Cool. Okay. Right, check out. Yes, should be token array. Now you should see and should return from an array. So we need to get the first thing of item 0 by default should give it noon. Okay, so we do this if arrow equal which is new and token, right, exit token object, copy that. So that means it is token, this token is exit. So we return cb2 and otherwise return cb4. Right, now we don't need it anymore. Okay, so here we go. One more time we refresh. Now you should see user object. And what happened if I change it to same to, and what happened if I change token to a validate token, for example b0, and hit send? Now you should see a method and authorize because the token set token key is doesn't match. Right, back. Oh wow. Okay, so what's up? We need to copy that. Copy the values. Okay, so we pass here. I did. Alright, hit send. Authorization. No, I copied wrong because this is, oh, alright, this is user ID. Should be copy ID. Copy ID, the value. Right. Cool. Right, here we go. And that means the token successful. Okay, so far so good. So I hope you can understand this video, and see you next time. Bye for now.